Good afternoon. Haven't had a lunchtime with the Fink in a while. And today's a wonderful day. Oh, look, they threw in a free little dessert here. See, because today I want to talk to you about service. See, I've been thinking a lot about service lately, and it's actually, when it comes down to it, that's actually really all we're here for. I mean, other than the obvious biological reasons, but what else are you here to do than to serve your fellow man? So I take service very seriously, even the little bits, because it's the little things that count. And that's how we kind of get into a point as a society. Nobody asked me if I wanted ketchup, but that's okay. We'll go grab some ketchup. But, I don't know what happened to that. I understand trying to save and not offer ketchup, or not just throw it in, but I feel like it should be asked. Maybe they did, maybe they said any condiments or blah, blah, blah. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I don't think so. But anyways, this looks like it's gonna make up for the bad odor they gave me last time. And so shout out to Joanna, the manager at Whataburger on Grand Parkway, near I-10. It means a lot. Trying to just do a quick little check, make sure somebody didn't talk a loogie real quick. Because you never know, there's some really sick people in the world who somehow get their kicks off of making people suffer or punishing people who don't even know they're being punished, or it's a weird thing. And again, what are you here for if you're not to try to do a good job, whatever your job is? And I know times are hard sometimes, especially maybe lately, but if you are in the service industry, you gotta try to do better. You try to do your best. It's a simple job, right? Take an order, deliver it with a smile, or at least with some kind of common courtesy. And this is the problem with our society today, is that parents have really embraced the communist model of, I guess, let the society, the system, teach your kid how to be. Because they're obviously not teaching their kids. For instance, my mother taught me to be kind. She taught me manners. I mean, both my parents did, but I feel like I got even more of that from my mom. She wanted me to be a gentleman. She didn't want me to be this rude, punk-ass kid, punk-ass new age son of a bitch. No, I'm a son of a beautiful, wonderful woman, and it shows by the way that I treat people in the commons. We just did Comic Palooza, and before I get into that, actually, let's finish with the Whataburger experience, and then I'll get to what happened at Comic Palooza. Well, they got my name wrong. They got the order wrong. I said double cheeseburger. I don't know how you don't hear the double part. It's an easy to hear and understand word. And I asked what kind of root beer they had. She said, what'd she say? Regular. I'm like, okay, regular. Did you know that there's such things as brands? Did you know that often when somebody's asking about a soft drink, like if you were to offer me a soft drink, I might ask, what kind? and you would tell me the brand, because you know, oh, what kind of soft drink, what kind of soda, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, whatever, right? So mind-blowing to me. I don't know if this is like, I just don't know, but it's these young kids, man. I'm old, okay? Got gray hair. I come from, grew up in the 90s, born in the 80s, born in 84. One of the best years ever, actually. So many reasons. 1984, the book, the album. Yeah, so much. But society really has lost touch with like just being good to each other and good service. I remember when it was pretty common wherever you went to get a service with a smile, somebody who actually seemed like they wanted to get the order right, wanted to get your name right, wanted to answer your questions as to the best of their ability. Not so much anymore. And it's just bad parenting in my opinion. Well, those kids can thank their manager for making it up. I will go back now to that location. I have not completely written them off because she made it up. That was very nice of her to come hand deliver it to me too. But I don't get this attitude of these kids. They're just so entitled. They think that they deserve a job or they deserve to live and exist and just be paid to exist. Bitch, that's never been the case. All right? Even in the native tribes, you had to earn your keep. You had to prove your worth. If you just wanted to lay around and be worthless, you'd probably just fucking lay there until you starved and died. You have to serve the tribe. Maybe the difference of a monetary system, capitalism versus a more trust-based system. You could try to call it communism, but we all know where communism led, and that's not what the natives did. They supported each other, but they all had jobs. And they all learned how to serve the community. And again, it's all about that. If you're not serving your community, you're kind of being worthless. And you're being selfish, for sure. And these are things that I've learned over time. It's not like I've never been selfish or never had some of these bad ideas installed into my head. I just deprogrammed them. I realized that I was being programmed by the system because the system wants to collapse itself. Because the system is trying to write a new system. And the new program is being written for America. And it doesn't involve gun-toting, First Amendment speaking Americans. They don't want that. They especially don't want free-thinking Americans. Because if you're free-thinking, you have the ability to discern right from wrong and logic from illogic, then you're going to have a much easier time skipping the programming or deprogramming yourself. And that's not what they want. They want people who can barely speak the language, if at all. People who are just so desperate to get here because they've come on rafts made of literal trash from countries like Venezuela. They want those people to come here because they're so desperate, they'll do whatever they say. Whatever our government says is still better than what they had to deal with back there, right? At least for now. But it's heading towards the same direction. And eventually the whole world's just going to be this awful, pretty much oligarchical set up the way it is, but they're going to hollow out the middle class to where there's nothing but peasants and the elite, right? Poor people and rich people, nobody in between. They want to eliminate that upward mobility of the lower class, which is the American dream, by the way. That's the whole reason why people are coming here, is because we have that dream and that reality that has been slipping away for a while through my whole life. That means that we're not going to have that. And as you can see, just look at the price of goods, look at the housing market, the ratio of people who actually can afford a home in my generation is pretty staggeringly low and sad. You know, this is not the country we were promised. This is not the future we were promised. And it all started in college. I remember going to college, incurring all this debt because, my dad was basically like, I'm kicking you out if you don't go to college, which fair enough. I like that, but we didn't do enough research and we got conned into going to a way too expensive Art Institute of Houston, which is now closed. And they're closed because they practiced bad business and, like what they did to me, promised us that these high tuitions would be easy to pay off because you're going to get into the job market as, say, a graphic designer or animator, and you're going to make, starting out the gate, like $25 an hour, and then onward, $35 an hour, be a kind of nice average, and then up to $50 an hour or more. Bro, that's not the reality. I was lucky to find a job, and the jobs that I got, I was getting not much more than minimum wage. All right, we'll just put it that way. So we were sold a lie again and again by our parents, by our institutions of higher learning, by the system. And now we got to pick up the pieces. Now we have to train people how to be good humans again, because we're slipping so far. I mean, look at the stuff you see with, like, what are these, like, mall takeovers? If you haven't heard of that, just look that up. It's ridiculous. You just have a bunch of hoodlums literally proclaiming they are taking over the mall, and I don't know what they're doing. They just have a riot, basically. They just kind of trash the place, scream and holler, hoot, and make a bunch of noise and movement, and make the place completely unshoppable. And it's the degradation of society. This is really like the fall of a society when we kind of just allow this stuff to happen. So what do we do about it? We have to start teaching the kids and the younger generations. They need to learn how to respect society, how to respect strangers and others. You don't give people a crap attitude first thing out the gate when it's your job to serve them. Give them a little smile or give them a little something. At least get the order right. At least act like you care. You don't even have to act like you're having a good day, in my opinion. If you just look like you're actually trying to serve, that's enough for me. But most of these people look like they hate you. They hate their job, and they just want to, they don't even want to be, it's like they want to get fired. It's weird. It's like, do you really want that though? Because we can make that happen. Because I file reports. when people fuck up my orders and when people fuck me around and treat me unfairly, you will hear from the manager on my behalf, all right? And that's what everyone needs to start doing. Bring back the standard, all right? We have a standard to uphold in this country. Stop treating it like trash. Stop treating people like trash. Respect others, and you will be respected, and you will advance. It is a damn good burger. And I say all this because it really is. It's time to start cleaning up the trash in society. We can't allow trashy people to run the world or run this country into the ground. And take accountability for your children and for the people around you that you call friends or whatever. By the way, common respect. If you're in any job situation, you greet somebody with a hello. It's pretty simple. Thought that everybody knew that. And usually some kind of salutation at the end. Like, goodbye will suffice. But you literally have to train your own children to say hello and goodbye nowadays. That's how bad it is. Which I've done so. But you can definitely tell the children who have not been trained. You can totally tell because of simple things like that. Simple things that my mom taught me. How to be a gentleman. You know? Treat people with respect and say hello to them. Show some concern to them. At least act like you give a fuck about somebody other than yourself. Are we getting enough of this? We're not really getting to see the meal, are we? It's pretty cool, huh? Only in Texas, folks. This is a Texas brand. That's why I care about it so much. Like, because a lot of things in Texas are falling to shit now. Because we got so many imports from California and other states where they don't teach people how to be hospitable. They don't have that southern hospitality. And it's sad, man. We're just watching society degrade. So, okay. Now let me tell you a story. So good. Sweet victory. By the way, don't talk with your mouth full. It is okay to talk with food in your mouth, you know, when you're in conversation at the table. Just don't have your mouth full to where there's like stuff coming out, you know? It's gross. You have to have at least only half of your mouth at most, you know, full, where you can pack it into your cheek like a chipmunk. All right? So then you're not showing stuff, so you're not spitting stuff out at people. That's so disgusting. Okay. Also, you try not to have your elbows on the table. Do parents teach this kind of stuff? I'm just curious. Did your parents teach you any of this? Let me know in the comments. course, chew with your mouth closed. Get some more ketchup here. So, Comic Palooza. All right. Let me tell you about this one. I've done Comic Palooza for like several years now. I think this is like the 5th, maybe 6th time. I don't know. But love the show. Great show. Well managed. Very reasonable in every way. And just a lot of fun. It really is. If you haven't been to Houston's Comic Palooza, I'm telling you right now, get ready for next year, because it's probably one of the coolest things that you can do in Houston. I venture to try to find more cool things that I can talk about that Houston has. We don't really have a whole lot, other than some nice parks and trails and a few shops. Space Montrose. We have some great museums. Let me throw that in there. There's a few good galleries too, but the art museums and the Natural History Museum, pretty top notch. But compared to other cities, especially in other countries and stuff, like, man, we are behind. Infrastructure-wise, transportation-wise, it is sad. And it's part of the reason why I think a lot of people want to leave, myself included. It's one of the main reasons, if only reasons, though. I know a lot of wonderful people. That's one of Houston's highlights, is the people. But we have quite a gradation. Usually the people I'm talking about are my age or older. And I've always hung out with older people, ever since even I was a young lad. I always hung out with the older kids. I've always felt like I was more on their level and I had more to learn from them. I've never liked being around people my age or younger, because they usually act very immature for me. They just have like a very, I don't know how to say, like underdeveloped way of thinking and sense of humor and things like that. And don't even get me started on their silent crap. The way some of these people who've been raised on video games and videos online, the way they can't communicate, how they're so timid in public. Oh my God. Anyway, so Comic Palooza, right? One of my favorite shows. My favorite show in Houston. And loadout is probably the only part that's a little hectic. It's kind of a pain in the butt, because there's just kind of one way in, and all these cars and vehicles are clamoring to go through. And so they have 2 lanes on Chartres Street, which is parallel to the entrances of the back of the George R. Brown Convention Center. They block off 2 of them to the left lanes with cones, because you're entering to the left. And I think I've always been in the left lane. Out of the 2, I'll refer to them as the left lane and the right lane. I've always been in the left lane because I guess I probably noticed it was moving faster, but sometimes you forget. Or sometimes you take a chance. You think maybe there's something different. By the way, I hope you like my hairdo today. My cat styled it for me this morning. A little lick treatment. He's quite he's quite an artist with it. So I'm in the line, right? Okay, well, I pull up. The left line is pretty long. The right lane looks about half the length. I'm like, okay, what's the logical choice here? Go to the right lane, right? Let's fill that spot. Surely they're moving at generally the same pace, but most people just don't know, oh, I can go in this right lane. That's generally how things are in Houston, by the way. People usually always get all stuck in one lane when they don't realize that there's actually another turn lane to the outside, because it's a little counterintuitive. You think that if you're turning left, there's only one left lane that goes in. But anyways, I get into this lane and I watch and I wait, and that line that was way back behind me catches up and never quite fully completely ends, or passes me, because as more people are coming, they're filling it in. So I never really got a chance to kind of move in there, which I wanted to. But it keeps filling up and yet keeps passing me. And I mean, I'm like sitting there forever watching this shit happen. Like every now and then they'd let a few of us go, and sometimes I thought I was, it was starting to pick up, and so it was like just enough to encourage you to stay, and you keep thinking like, okay, now they're getting it together. Now they're going to make it fair. Now they're going to really start letting us go through. But I mean, I saw like the U-Haul behind me. He caught that one moment, I guess, when there wasn't anybody coming to fill in the gap, and he jumped in there and got into that left lane. Actually, he was kind of trapped in between us for a while, but then the left lane moved so much quicker that he eventually got in. No problemo. I watched him go and go and go and get in while I barely moved like two car spaces. So I'm kind of getting a bit pissed off, and I call my wife and let her know, like, yeah, it's not moving in this lane. I don't know what's going on. She's cool with it. She's like, hey, it's fine. I'm just sitting here waiting, but whatever. I'm fine with waiting in long lines. Not really, but I deal with it, like anybody else. I do live in Houston after all, right? But it's just, unfair. It's clearly unfair when you're watching all these people keep going in front of you. The guy behind you is already in there. You've barely moved 2 spaces. And it's like, okay, sorry, I'm getting a little irritated here. Somebody needs to answer for this at this point, I'm like, I'm definitely going to try my best to get through that. And if I get any confrontation, it's not going to be good. Well, sure enough, I get up. I'm finally like at the very top of the line. And he lets one truck in front of me go. And then I'm following behind. I'm like, okay, well, you only let one, but you're letting like at least 5 to 10 cars go at a time in this other lane. At least. So I'm like, okay, you're not going to just let one guy go. I'm going behind this guy. And this guy, big, tall, black guy, kind of heavy set, with his George R. Brown Convention Center uniform on, like all the rest of them. He kind of like, whoa, and he's all like getting in the way. I'm like, you really want to do that, buddy? You may be big, but I can still take you down with this van. And he's like, hey, you can't go. I didn't say you go. I'm like, that's when the shouting match started pretty much. I mean, I didn't start shouting, but I had to raise my voice so he could hear me. He's shouting at me already anyway. So, I mean, yeah, we shout at each other. And I'm just telling him, like, hey, man, exactly what I just told you. 20 cars gone by. You let like 1 or 2 of us go by. What's the deal, man? Why is this happening? Why am I in this lane? The guy behind me's already been in there now. Why am I in the sucker lane, Nobody told me that. Nobody told me this was the sucker lane. Apparently the left lane is the smart lane, and I got the sucker lane. And I'm like, what's the fucking deal here, man, And he's just all like, no, 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 blah, blah. I don't know. He had nothing to say to that either. He couldn't even defend himself. He couldn't make any kind of statement as to why that was the case. And so I'm just like, well, I'm going to go. He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of inching further. Like, I might just have to kind of hit the gas a little here. You might want to get out of the way. But his manager, a younger, not too young, but younger looking, definitely shorter and nicer black girl, she comes up and she's like, she pretty much diffuses the situation. Because there was already like the security guard was like kind of walking towards my vehicle, like getting in front of it, like, what do I got to do here, And so I'm kind of seeing this crash out happening in real time, and I'm like, all right, there's only a couple ways this can go from here. By the way, I don't know if she was younger. She was just prettier. I mean, this guy was not my cup of tea. But she comes up and she kind of in a more calm way says, Sir, well, what's the problem here? I can't have you talking to my staff like that. And that was kind of a point of contention for me too, because I'm like, I'm just feeding him back what he's feeding me. He wants to shout at me and tell me, all this BS. I'm going to shout back my retort, my reason for what I'm doing, and criticize your bad job. Because obviously it's not me. It's not just me who's noticing this, right? If multiple cars I've seen now, multiple cars I saw who are in my lane behind me got the message and moved to the left lane and were ahead of me and had already been in or were far ahead of me. So I'd seen this happen with at least like 5 or 6 vehicles. So I'm not the only one who noticed, okay? I'm not instigating things. I am calling out the bullshit. Anyways, she calmly handles it like, like a real professional, I guess. And she kind of gets me to calm down. She tells me like, sir, calm down. Will you please just kind of calm down? She's like, okay, my staff is just doing their best, with the communication they're getting from the rest of the staff. And, but I can't have you talking to my guys like that. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I'm like kind of like already halfway in anyway. So it's like, what are you going to do? So eventually she was just like, I guess once she got me to comply and say, okay, then she's like, okay. And she's like, all right, we're going to let you through. We're going to let him do his thing. All right. And then he's like, to the left. And there I went. I went in. Then got hassled a little bit more by another guy, actually. Even he's like, hey, stop, where are you going? Roll down your window. My window's like, a good 6 inches open. I'm like, it is open. Oh, that's it? Yeah, that's it, buddy. What are you trying to do? Climb in? Like, what are you going to try and grab me out of my vehicle? I think that's enough. I can hear you. You can hear me. All right. Say your fucking piece. Where am I going? Oh, I had the dash. I had my booth number on the dash. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I know where I'm going. And so went an otherwise flawless show. I mean, I had a great fucking show. But that part sucked. Damn near ruined my night. But, I got home. Made some food, unwinded, felt good after that. Got an early bedtime. But what the hell is up with this shit service, How hard is it to direct 2 lines of traffic into a building in an equal manner? Do you need to be a fucking mathematician to know that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you do it, all right? It's not that fucking hard, man. It's not fucking rocket science. And if you can't handle that, you need another fucking post, all right? Put him on fucking garbage duty. Or else you're going to hear from the manager. Oh, you will. Because I'll find out who you are, and I'll report your ass, and you're going to get a strike. And that's why I'm eating a free double Whataburger with cheese meal. And the wonderful manager threw in a nice little dessert there, a little hot pocket, apple pocket, or whatever the hell that's supposed to be. Because she actually understands a little something. She has some skin in the game, right? She's like, oh shit, I don't want this place getting a bad reputation. That's my reputation. It's all of yours, though. Even if you're the lowest employee, do your job right. Don't you want to be known as the best? Don't you want to excel and gain some skills? Don't you want people to like you? At least a little bit? Don't you at least want them to remain neutral about you? You don't want them to hate you because you treat them like crap? And so, just like I had to reach out to Whataburger management, I reached out to George R. Brown management, and I filed a report on him. And I spoke to a very lovely lady on the other end of the line, and we joked a little bit, and we laughed, and she took my information, and she totally understood. So if you're one of these dickheads right now, he's thinking, oh, he's such an asshole. Nah, bro. Everyone else who knows how to do a good job understands what I'm saying right now. You're just a slack ass, and so you defend other slack asses. I'm not. That's the thing. This world has demanded so fucking much from me. I've had to get everything right. I've had to learn how to do every fucking thing so fucking good so I could get it, even barely like tread water. So I'm not gonna fucking give some free passes to some punk ass entitled bitches, all right? You guys gonna have to step it up. I always make sure I eat like every little bit of the little bit of veggies I get. I know that's probably not the most savory thing to do at a table, but fuck it. It's also better not to waste. There's children starving in America, don't you know? Oh shoot, let me get one of these so I don't make a mess with this apple pie. So, I mean, that's the moral of the story. Is like, because again, I had a great show, and let me say, my Comic Palooza was better than just about anybody else's Comic Palooza, at least as far as the artist vendors that I know. I crushed it. We crushed it. We crushed it because we've iteratively gotten better each year at all that things we do. And that booth looks fucking phenomenal now because I keep upgrading and keep improving every time, every show. Is that nice and level? You know, but that's all, you know, just keep improving, right? People are going to be amazed at who you become. I had an old art institute of Houston buddy. Excuse me. See, this is why you don't talk with your mouth full. Oh. Let me let the cat in. All right. I think some of that like sugar or cinnamon or something, some of that kind of went up one of my windpipes. Yes, Beta. You still have food in your bowl. It's my homeboy. Yeah, so what was I getting at? Service. Oh yeah, so man, but I've had to teach myself a lot of subjects that I didn't want to have to learn. I didn't want to be a salesman. I wanted to be an artist. And then you know what I found out? To be an artist, you have to be a salesman. My dad always told me I was going to have to learn that math would be in everything, right? He tried to encourage me to become better at math. He was unsuccessful in that. But he was right. And I learned the hard way. Because I have a hard time like doing any like, you know, like several step multiplication or addition problems, you know, when there's a lot of numbers to juggle, I get pretty lost. Especially when I'm on the spot, like in a sales situation, kind of makes me even more nervous about my number skills, and I usually goof up. So it's good to have a calculator. But this is what it's all about, is all these skills that you're supposed to be achieving, or all these skills you're supposed to be learning are to better achieve a one goal or skill, because there's certain ones that feed into each other and that are a part of everything. And that's what my dad was trying to tell me that I didn't quite understand at the time. I literally thought that, oh, I'll be an artist, I won't have to deal with numbers. And then, icing on the cake, I got into sacred geometry. And then I was like, holy shit, numbers are fucking awesome. But I even told my dad, I'm like, why didn't they teach us this shit in school? This would have gotten me interested. That's a whole nother video. Apple pie is pretty good. She may have just turned me on to their apple pie. That's better than McDonald's. I didn't even think I'd be hungry for that. But yeah, I mean, so it really does kind of seem to come down to, I guess, maybe break it down into 3 elements. Product, presentation, salesmanship, right? If you have a good product, something that people actually like and want or need, and then you have a good presentation of the product, you can actually show it to people in a way that's appealing, you know, trying to sell somebody this badass product and you're under a cardboard box on the side of the street, like, it's probably not going to go over well, right? You need a better display. And then finally, yes, the service though. If you treat people like shit or like they don't matter, you're not going to get the sale. Plain and simple. Nobody wants to buy from you. They'll go out of their way to buy something that may even seem lesser just to avoid your bitch ass. Just to teach you a lesson, right? Because we pay with our dollars. That's what this all comes down to, right? That's how kind of we get into these terrible situations that we're in right now, is because we pay with our dollars and allow these big corporations to run everything. It's time to start buying local. It's time to stop buying products that are poison. So that's the main point of the video today. I just can't stress it enough. It's probably not super entertaining, but I don't give a fuck. I just want to put it out there. Maybe somebody will get this message who needs to hear it. Just work on your service though, mostly, because most of the times you already have a good product, or you wouldn't have believed in it for so long, right? Most of the times your display is good enough. You're not in a cardboard box on the side of the street. And most of the time you're not necessarily an asshole to people, but you're not also very encouraging. And when there's a lot of people competing for that sale, for people's dollars that day, you have to kind of incentivize it. You have to also kind of usher them into it a little bit. And you're helping them, right? That's how you have to look at it though too. You have to understand that you are helping them. If your product is good for them, if it is a good product, then you're actually doing a service to them by convincing them, getting them to see. That's the thing. It's less of convincing and more of getting them to see why. That's what I've found, because my art is very non-intuitive, I guess you could say. It almost kind of requires an explanation. My work is very science and math-based and very challenging. I mean, there's no other way to put it, really. My artwork is challenging, and that's not for everybody. That's why there's no local galleries in Houston that carry my work, is because people in Houston apparently don't want to be challenged very much, at least in art galleries. Kind of weird, because I've sold my art literally on the streets under tents, like in art fairs and art markets, and gained collectors and sold every kind of thing you could believe in those situations, as well as at all across the nation, but also shows like Comic Palooza that prove that there is a strong market for my work. And actually most of my sales happen in my studio though. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? That I can sell my work because I understand it, but galleries can't, because they don't care enough to know about my work and to be able to speak eloquently about it and to speak knowledgeably about it. But I know it all went into it, and trust me, there's a lot going on in even some of the more simplified looking pieces. I can talk it up. I can explain how these things that I do are beyond the norm, and why they require more attention, but why they're also ultimately, because of that, my attention to detail, it makes it a better product. It's not your run-of-the-mill, easygoing, quick churned out art. No, this is something more contemplative that people with longer attention spans appreciate more so than people with short attention spans. So I'm okay with that. It's a little upsetting, because apparently it's a lot easier to sell to people with short attention spans, and it seems like there's a lot more of them out there who actually even have money. But that's not who I am, and I'm not gonna fucking change who I am to appeal to a bunch of goldfish. I know who my people are. Shit, if you made it this far, you're my people. So please make sure you like and subscribe, and maybe comment and let me know what you think of this. And go to my website and jump on the newsletter. That's a great way to stay connected and get into the inner circle. Actually, the real inner circle is my Patreon. All that you can find links to on my website, vincentfink.com. But I think that this is important. People really need to start thinking about everything as service. Because I've noticed the more I think about my artwork as a service and my ability to market it as just getting better at educating the public on my service and why it is superior to others, is because this is how you help people. This is why I do it, right? Because I do want to help people. I want to make the world a better place. When I really sit down and think about what is my goal, what is my mission in life, why do I do art? Well, I do art because I think it will inspire people, and I put all these scientific concepts and all of this work and energy and thinking into it because I know that I appreciate that kind of stuff. It gets my mind thinking. It inspires me when I see artwork like that. And that kind of stuff has enlightened me in life. It's caused me to do deeper research into concepts I'd never heard of before. So I kind of just want to give back in that way. Like with what talent I have that the world has informed me supposedly is what I'm good at, I want to use that to inspire others to spread the knowledge, to spread the love of science, and to spread more interest in the unknown, and maybe crack it open a bit and learn a little bit more into the known. And that's just the best art, in my opinion, is the art that keeps you coming back and looking and finding new things, and the art that has such a concept behind it that it just changes the way you look at the world. And it feels so good to go to these shows and do this because I get to see that happen in real time. You don't know how many times I got to see how my art blew somebody's mind. And then they were compelled to buy from me. You know, it was like, by the end of our conversation, they're like, okay, I gotta get something, right? You know, it wasn't, it's magical. It really is. It's a wonderful experience. For instance, there was this one guy who came by, looked, and we talked a little bit, and then, you know, I gave him my bookmark with the booth number and website info. Cool if you come back, cool if you don't, but he did come back, and when he came back, he bought something, but then he even still asked. It was the Schrodinger's Dead and Alive Cat t-shirt. Bestseller in the whole North American continent, by the way, with all the museum gift shops that I stock with my art. And he asked about it there. He was like, so can you please explain that a little further? You know, like, what does that mean? Sure, I got this new poster print here, so it's nice and big behind me. $25, you'll see him in the shop. And I'm explaining it to him. I'm like, well, yeah, so it's an infographic. Here it says step 1, you know, the particle decay. And then step 2, the Geiger counter measuring the particle decay. And then you follow this little cord behind the cat. And you got step 3 where if the particle decay is detected, then this little hammer I decided would smash this vial full of poison. And then just for funsies, the vial full of poison falls into the cat food. And then the cat eats the food and then dies, right? And that's just one version of 2 quantum states that can exist until you open the box and find out which one, and you collapse the wave function, right? But I went into super detail of this because I had the diagram right there, and I noticed while I was basically giving this lecture, even like a family kind of came up, and this little kid was just enamored, right? He just kind of stopped and looked and was paying attention to what I was saying, and I was like, this is so fun. I love those moments. One of my favorite moments of the show was just that moment right there. Giving a Schrodinger's cat lecture to a bunch of strangers, you know, and just having their captivated interest and their attention on it and blowing their minds. Like his mind was blown. I think pretty sure he said that as he was leaving, but definitely a cool guy. He's on the newsletter now, you know, so we're going to be staying in contact, and he will definitely be invited over to the studio when we do events. And there was so many good moments, so many good connections made. And we really stood out. And despite all of the odds against us, because there was something weird about this year, and I don't totally know what it is yet, but there was less vendors and kind of a little bit less of a crowd too. I don't know how much I could really gauge that. It's hard to tell because it was still a huge crowd. I mean, really big fucking crowd. But I've seen it where that place entire convention center was just like balls to the walls packed. So it was a little thinner. And some people say it has to do with the celebrity guests. They didn't have any A-list celebrities. Lawrence Fishburne, Yeah, sorry, bro. That's pretty good. May not be freaking Neo, Keanu, but it's pretty close. And had some other Matrix guys. They also had the commander from Battlestar Galactica, the TV series, the reboot from the 90s, I think it was. So they had some good guys. Yeah, maybe it wasn't the top like they did last year, like when they had Hayden Christensen, who wore my Death Star State, Texas Death Star design. Yeah, Hayden Christensen got my shirt from a meet and greet with my sister-in-law, and then he wore it the next day, and everybody got pictures taken with him. And then they were coming to my booth buying up that Death Star Texas design. And we definitely saw a spike in sales from that. Everybody coming by and saying, "Oh my God, that's the shirt that Hayden Christensen was wearing." Like, what an awesome celebrity endorsement, Couldn't have asked for something cooler than that. So last year, yeah, and there was a huge line for people to meet and greet him, and not for Lawrence Fishburne. So I don't know what was going on this year. I really don't know. I will say what I think it is. I don't think it was necessarily the celebrities. I mean, that plays a little bit, sure. I think it's the economy. I think it's the goddamn Strait of Hormuz. Sorry, the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, I think it's the goddamn Strait of Hormuz being closed. Thanks, Trump. It wasn't closed before. Everything was pretty good before. I think you could find another way to get your objectives met, and nobody even freaking knows really at this point what the objective is. Oh yeah, to denuclearize. Well, I thought you did that. I thought you won the war like 7 days in. Like, this is ridiculous. So, very, very upset with that situation, and it's obviously affecting the country. You can look at your gas prices here, even in Texas. We've got $4 gas right here down the street. That's probably lower than some areas. In the state of oil refineries. And we are literally, Houston is the port, the area where all of that Venezuelan oil that we just, kidnapped Maduro and took over their situation, right? So now we've installed or gotten somebody in there who's gonna play ball. So now we've got Venezuelan oil. All that's coming to Houston. What the fuck is the problem here, man? So don't even get me started on that. Sorry, I got myself started. Who was talking about that? But, I mean, I guess it's all interconnected. It's hard not to talk about politics sometimes when politics is of the people and it's affecting everybody's lives. And look what it did to a Comic-Con, I think. I'm quite certain people were a little more reluctant. Somebody even said that, I'm making my rounds and, I'm thinking about what I'm going to buy because, I got to save enough money to drive home, right? I mean, obviously kind of an exaggeration, but it's making the statement that yes, gas prices are high. It's making the cost to get around high. It's causing all of the stocks, of goods, the cost of those go up when the cost of oil goes up because it takes gas to transport them, right? So it's all interconnected. You can't fuck with these things, all right? You can't do that and then think your economy is going to be fine or that everybody's going to be A-okay with your policy. Like, nah, we're pretty fucking pissed. Everybody should be fucking pissed right now. This affects us all. And, yeah, so anyways, that's what I think is affecting the show and a lot of other businesses right now. Let me know what you think it is, if it's something else that I'm just not catching. But that would do it for me. I mean, think about it. You have a lot of these vendors who actually use gas to travel across the country to come to different cons. So there'd be a few of them who might even just say at this point, you know what? I'm out. I'm just gonna, just get a day job or whatever. I'm gonna do something else. But yeah, there was definitely a noticeably less vendors there It was kind of they had to kind of just leave an empty spot in the convention center where there would have been more vendors. And so I don't know, pretty weird. Also, City of Houston taking over Comic Palooza is probably not a good move. Their selection of vendors and the way that they run it, it's never as good as when like an individual or an up and coming company does these things. That's what built it up. That's what made Comic Palooza so great, right? It wasn't something that the city just thought up and made happen. No, the city can't do that. The city's terrible. This is what people don't understand. When you give too much power to the system, to the people at the top, they squander it all. This is what they always do. They always fuck everything up. So that's what happened to possibly, and definitely noticeably to some degree as well. We're kind of seeing those signs. So I hope it clears up. I'm still gonna try again next year because for me, I made up for it. How did I make up for the lack of dollars in the market right now? Service. Service with a smile. I was so determined to not lose not one sale that I could have had. And I've practiced so much over the last 15 years or so. I mean, I've got it down to a science now. And I can really tell where there's a sale and when there's not one. And yeah, I made very few mistakes. And really connected with a lot of people in a genuine way, and that's the fun part of it for me. I think that's how I'm able to continue doing sales, is because I found a way to do it that is authentic. So perhaps that's the last note I want to leave you on, which is to just be authentic in your sales and in your pursuit. Look at this, my fat cat. But authenticity definitely sells. People can smell dishonesty. And if you're just putting it on and you are not really that into it, it'll show. But I'm really into it. I love my art. It took me a little bit of time to really figure out why that is. But when you do that time, when you take the time to do that deep research on yourself, on what inspires you, so much good can come from that, because then you have a better direction, and then you can talk to people about what you're doing in a convincing way, because you're convinced, right? And it's just spreading that enthusiasm. And I could just go on and on about my art because I've spent my whole life in it, working on it, perfecting it, finding a way. People often say to me at these shows, you have the most original booth that I've seen, as far as artwork. Yeah, it's because I'm 42 and I've been drawing since I was 3, and I never stopped and said, you know what, I'm gonna cop this style, or I'm gonna cop that style. Now people will always look for somebody or something they've seen before to relate your work to. That's something that I learned a long time ago, and that was one of those things that at first kind of bugged me, more so with my music. Not with my music. It wasn't even my music. It was like bands. I would show my dad a band, like I'd show him a new Dream Theater song, and he'd be like, "Oh, that sounds like Black Sabbath," and I'm like, "No, it doesn't." It did kind of. He was often right. I just didn't want to admit it. It was certainly influenced by Black Sabbath. But yeah, so people are always looking for something to compare something new to, because there is nothing new under the sun anyway, right? It's all borrowed and all adapted from something older. So actually, once you start to learn and be okay with that, you can kind of find the honor in that. And I heard them so many times, and without variation, anytime somebody compared my work because I had mostly these super detailed perspective ink drawings from my Atlas Metamorphosis series out. And people would be like, this stuff reminds me of like Escher, but more like Escher if like Escher and Dolly had a love child or something, right? That kind of thing. And because I also have paintings that are very surreal, so I get it. Even though my stuff is very much not like Dolly, Dolly's like the most popular surrealist. I'm much more influenced by Rene Magritte, but still, it's not like I cop his style either. But being that it's surreal, you throw in any surrealist master's name, I can be cool with it. I can identify with that. Actually, Rob Gonzalez, look him up. That's definitely one that I'm not so much like my work doesn't totally look like, but I would say, man, that's someone I kind of aspire to be like. Rest in peace. I don't want to end like him though. But yeah, so I got some major compliments, but people were blown away with the originality of my work, and it's because I took the time. But I didn't just sit back and rest on my laurels either. Like most people, most artists will do. I like, was hurting from standing so long because I didn't want to miss one person's eye. I wanted to be at eye level, and I didn't want to be sitting down looking slacky I didn't want to be easily walked past. And there was certainly times where I could feel somebody was about to walk away, but I kind of managed to say something quirky and engage them and get them to laugh, which is always fun. If we can at least just entertain each other and give each other something to smile or laugh about, that's magic. So I would just focus on that. That's what I'm going to focus on. Focus on your originality and your vision and your service to others. Okay? And then you won't have your manager getting pissed off at you, writing you up, and having to give freebies away, costing the company money. That'll do. I hope this was helpful in some way. It was, for me at least, fun to vent while I ate my lunch. But this has been a long lunch and it's time to get to work. Best of energies.